Girl, stop playing.
Welcome to another episode of the Girl Stop Playing podcast. It's your favorite homegirl, Koereyelle, here to encourage you to stop playing with your potential and start working for what you want in life and in love. On this week's solo episode, I'm going to encourage you to get over your BS. But before we get into that, I definitely want to just let you know that if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, you are missing out on the video episodes of the Girl Stop Playing podcast. Every single Thursday, we are live at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube at girlstoppod.com. And that's where you can tune in, tap in, subscribe, like, comment, and interact with the live shows. Now let's get into this soul snatching solo episode. So when I say it's time for you to get over your BS, I don't mean BS in the traditional sense. I mean that it's time for you to get over the belief system that's been holding you back. Because what I need for you to understand is that you don't have to wait until, you pass on to experience paradise. You can have heaven right here if you start rebuilding your belief system. What I know to be true is that what you are currently experiencing is a reflection of what you expect. Okay. And what you expect is a reflection of what you believe that you're worthy of. And so for today's episode, I want to get down to the nitty gritty of what you've been believing about yourself, because 9 times out of 10, what you've been believing is some BS. Okay. So there's 3 things that I need for you to do if you are going to get over your BS. The first thing that we are going to need to do is we're going to have to start questioning everything. Okay. There's this quote that says your subconscious thoughts, like the things you think to yourself about yourself, is typically a reflection of what you were taught or told about yourself. And so if we are going to evolve into the woman that God created us to be, if we are going to live out our destiny, if we are going to fulfill our life's purpose, we got to get down to the bottom of what we've been believing. And so in order to do that, you got to start questioning everything, because chances are what you were taught as a child no longer applies. I mean, it's easy for us to think about what we were taught in terms of success, right? Most of us who, us older millennials, okay, I'm just speaking for myself. Most of us were raised to believe that we got to go to school, get good grades, go to college, get the degree, get the good job with those good benefits so that we could live the good life. Most of us now, at this day and age, with our experiences, understand that that is not the blueprint for success. That's not the only way that you can do the thing. So it's easy for us to wrap our minds around the fact that we need to rebuild our mindset in terms of exploring, our career paths, or exploring entrepreneurship, or just realizing there's a number of ways to create this quote unquote good life. You don't have to live by that cookie cutter way of doing things. But when it comes to other areas of our lives, we don't often question what we were taught. And typically it's because, as children, we just thought what our parents said was law. And most of the time, what our parents taught us were based on their perceptions, not necessarily reality, but based on their perceptions, based on their experiences, based on their parents. Okay. Based on what they were taught to believe. Most of the time, they just passed down to us what was passed down from their parents. And if we're not careful, we'll turn around and do the same thing when we become parents. And so right now, today, it is time for us to really start peeling back the layers of what we were led to believe. So what were you led to believe about success? What were you taught that success looks like? What were you taught that it takes to become successful? Were you taught that your title makes you successful? Because what I know to be true is that there is something that you are called to do outside of what they call you, outside of this title, outside of your career. There is something greater that God is calling you to do. But if you believe that your worth, if you believe that your blessings are tied to this business, or tied to, this cubicle, or tied to your title, then you are going to constantly feel unfulfilled because you're going after a carrot that's being dangling in front of you that has nothing to do with what you're being called to do. So what were you led to believe about success? What were you led to believe about money? Did you grow up with parents who had a lack mindset and probably didn't even realize it? Have you ever been told that money doesn't grow on trees, that money is the root of all evil, that we got to just figure out how to make it work with what we got? All of those are limiting beliefs rooted in a lack mindset. And until we start to question all of these things, we're going to continue to operate with this lack mindset. So what were you taught to believe about love? Ooh, getting real sticky, real tricky with this one. Because most of the time, what we were taught to believe about love was a reflection of how our parents experienced love. Okay. And this is the thing. We often hear, like these statistics around, children who grow up in single parent homes. But we don't often talk about the damage that can be done when you grow up in a two-parent home that's not necessarily the healthiest household. So regardless of the situation that you grew up in, you were subconsciously taught something about how to relate to other people. You were subconsciously taught something about what love looks like, what love should feel like, how you should expect to experience love based on what you saw your parents experience. So if you really start to peel back the layers around what you saw, what you heard, what you've been told, you'll start to see how that warped perspective has created a perception that is not tied to reality. What were you led to believe about yourself? This is a tricky one because they say, like what your mother said to you is what you'll eventually grow up and start saying to yourself. So what were you taught? What were you led to believe? Because most of the time, our belief system is rooted in something outside of ourselves, rooted in something that we did not necessarily come up with. We just subscribed to because it's all that we knew. It's all that we saw. I can't tell you how many things that I've realized later in life were dysfunctional, but they were just normal. And your normal, your dysfunction sometimes goes unnoticed until you get around some people who are doing things a little differently, until you see that everybody didn't necessarily grow up the way you did. Everybody doesn't believe the things that you believe. And a lot of times what other people are experiencing are based on what they were taught, are based on their belief system. And so you have to understand that you can't just trust what you were taught. You cannot just trust what you were taught. It's time to rewrite the rules that you live by based on your new understanding, based on your evolution. Okay. So the first thing that I'm going to need for you to do, if you are truly going to get over your BS so you can get to the things that God is calling you to, is you got to start questioning everything. You got to understand that your parents are human. Okay. I know we believe that our mamas can't do no wrong, but the things that your mother taught you were based on the things that she's been taught, based on the things that she's experienced. And 9 times out of 10, they weren't based on reality. Okay. Or not this new reality. So you got to start questioning everything. And it's not to say that we, got to blame our mama, blame our daddy for, what we've been experiencing. It's just time to take a good look, like really, really get that reality check that you're going to need if you are going to move into this new season that you're being called to. Okay. If you continue to do the things that you've always done, you're going to continue to get the results that you've always gotten. So you got to be willing to question everything. The second thing that you're going to have to do if you're going to get over your BS, you're going to have to quit trying to be perfect. One thing that I've realized is that we a lot of times try to live up to a standard for ourselves that God doesn't even expect of us. right? We know that, God has everything planned out. God knows every move we gonna make. Now we have free will, but he understands and knows ahead of time what our choice is gonna be, what we're gonna decide to do, how our lives are gonna play out. And so when we make a quote unquote wrong turn or a wrong decision, or we do something that we're not necessarily proud of, we beat ourselves up about it instead of understanding that this standard of perfection is unrealistic. God doesn't want perfection. He's not asking for perfection. He wants persistence in pursuing your purpose. So as long as you are pursuing your purpose every single day, because that's the persistence, every single day you're doing something to get a little closer to God's purpose for your life. That is what God wants from us. And so it's like arrogant for us to believe that our standard for ourselves should be higher than the standard that God has for us. Even our so-called failures are fuel. Those failures are fuel for you to figure out how to do it better the next time. Okay. So even when we get it wrong, God already knew how it was going to play out. So instead of beating yourself up, instead of allowing your quote unquote bad decisions to burden you, you got to figure out how to pick yourself up, put the pieces back together, and continue to pursue your purpose with persistence. You will never have the life you love until you love the life you have. So every single time we beat ourselves up about doing something wrong, every single time we beat ourselves up because we didn't get it right, we're literally telling God that we don't appreciate what we have. And so if you are going to appreciate, if you're going to get the things that you truly, truly desire, you have to appreciate the things that you already have. Okay. And you have to show God that appreciation, right? Show God what you deserve by how you treat what you already have. So quit trying to be perfect. Instead of attempting to be perfect, Patty, your only goal, God's only goal for you, is to pursue his purpose for your life with persistence. So the second thing you're going to have to do if you're truly ready to get over your BS is you're going to have to quit trying to be perfect. The time that you're wasting pursuing perfection is literally keeping you from your purpose. So the first thing you got to do to get over your BS is you got to start questioning everything. The second thing you got to do to get over your BS is you got to quit trying to be perfect. And the third thing that I'm going to need for you to do, if you are truly going to get over your BS, you're going to have to quiet the outside noise and quit trying to please other people. Let me say that again. You're going to have to quiet the outside noise and quit trying to please other people. You have to learn to trust yourself more than you trust the opinions of others. Okay. So even the people who inspire you, even the people who may be in a quote unquote, higher level in life, they may have achieved something that you desire to achieve. Even those people who seem like they got it all together, you have to learn how to trust yourself more than you trust the opinions of those people. Okay. And so a lot of times we ignore our gut. And I believe as women, like our greatest gift from God is our gut instinct. I believe my gut instinct is my God instinct, because every time something told me, right? Something told me I should have went that way. Something told me I should have answered the phone. Something told me I should have spoke to her. Every time something tells you, you should listen, because that something is a whisper from God. Okay. So you got to learn how to trust that, and not just trust it, but act on it. And the more you act on it, the more you'll trust it. I also need for you to understand that when it comes to other people, you can't believe what they say. Okay. You can't believe what they think about you. You got to believe what God says. Okay. So if that means you got to spend some time on a daily getting closer to God. And if y'all listen to my last solo show, you already know that I'm not just telling y'all what you need to do. I'm talking about what I had to do, what I'm still consistently doing every single day. I cannot go a day without going to God. Okay. I cannot go a day without going to God if I am pursuing my so-called God-given purpose. So instead of trying to please other people, instead of trying to live up to what the gram says you should be doing, you have to figure out what God wants you to do. And in order to figure that out, you got to go to God. You got to tap in. You got to check in. Okay. So instead of believing what they say, and the they, I don't even know who they is. Okay. We always talking about what they said, what they think, how they feel. Instead of believing in they, you got to believe what God says. And in order to figure out what God is saying, you got to listen. You got to tap in. However you do that, whatever that means for you, I believe that prayer is us going to God, us talking to God. I believe meditation is us listening, us receiving that download, us receiving that inspiration, us receiving those answers to the questions before we even ask. So whether you subscribe to prayer, meditation, or both, however you got to get to God, you got to get there on a daily basis. The other thing that I need for you to know about the people, is that everyone that you are connected to is either helping you pursue your purpose or hindering you from pursuing your purpose. Everybody. There's no gray area. There's no middle ground. And so if you just look at like your closest circle, the people who you connect with, the people who you exchange energy and time with on a daily basis, are they assets? Are they adding value? Or are they liabilities? Are they assisting and supporting? Or are they antagonizing and sabotaging? And it might ruffle some feathers, your own feathers, when you start looking at your so-called friends and really figuring out who's down for you when you aren't doing what they think you should do. Because it's easy for people to ride with you when you're riding to the destination that they directed you to. But when you start driving your car, when you start driving yourself in the direction of your dreams, are they still down? Are they helping you pursue your purpose, or are they hindering you from pursuing your purpose? There is no middle ground. You got to pick a side. Okay. You got to choose a side. So you have to be willing to quiet the outside noise, really, truly connect with God, and quit trying to please other people. Stop trying to live up to the standards that they set out for you. So I need for you to ask yourself, are you ready to get over your BS? Are you really ready to rebuild your belief system? If so, you got to ask yourself, what do you truly believe about yourself? What do you believe that you deserve? And this is a tricky one. What lies have you been telling yourself about yourself that's leading you to lack? I don't deserve that. No, I'm not really ready for that. Why would they pick me to do that? Why would I get the position? Like, why would somebody pay me for that? Why would he want me? Why me? What lies have you been telling yourself about yourself? Because those lies are literally leading you to the lack that you're experiencing. So do you need to let go of a lack mindset? Do you need to let go of people who've been leading you astray? Do you need to let go of limiting beliefs, things that I don't even believe that could happen for me. It's happening for her, but she must have something inside of her that God didn't give me. If you don't deal with it, it's going to deal with you. And so today I'm challenging you to let go of your BS. Believe you were born to do great things, godly things. We swear we have so much faith in God, but at the first sign of trouble, we're full of fear. Faith and fear cannot coexist. I truly believe that your faith will create opportunities for you that fear keeps hidden every single time. So just you having a lack mindset, just you having limiting beliefs about what you deserve, that's going to keep you from getting what you deserve. So I'm challenging you to believe that you are worthy of the life that you deserve. You're worthy of the life that you desire. But don't just believe it to be true. You got to get out of your own way. You have to activate your faith for long enough to bring it to you. You can't just have faith for a little while. You can't just have faith until your timeline says this thing should happen. Okay. You have to understand that you have to have that forever faith, that faith that regardless of when it happens, even if my timeline, my deadline is not in alignment with God's timeline, I still have faith that things are going to work out. You got to have faith for long enough to bring it to fruition. You also got to learn to trust your gut again, because that is your God-given gift. So when something tells you, you got to listen, and you got to know that God got you, and he's always had you, even when you didn't get it right, even when you fell down, even when you didn't believe that you were worthy. He got you. He had you then, he got you now, and he's going to have you next time. But you got to get over your BS. You got to be willing to rebuild your belief system. I hope that you are inspired, encouraged, and ready to get out here and do God's work. You're worthy. I love you. See you on the next episode.